The Toronto Maple Leafs are a team that has become extremely polarizing among hockey fans over the past decade. Despite being a consistently dominant team in the regular season, they haven't been able to get past the first round of the playoffs since 2004, and these postseason failures have made the fan base very divisive over what the team should do moving forward. Some people believe that GM Kyle Dubas just hasn't been able to make the right decisions to put this team in a position to win. Others think the players don't have the mentality to get it done in the playoffs. And many believe that the NHL should just simply change the playoff format so you don't guarantee that some of the best teams will be eliminated in the first round. I mean, sure, you have to beat the best to be the best, but even looking at it from a marketing perspective, wouldn't it be in the NHL's best interest to have a team like Boston and Toronto meet in the conference final, or even just the second round, so there's much more on the line with less games being watched? Anyways, as you can tell by the title of this video, my goal is to cater to the most radical of Maple Leafs fans and blow this entire team up. I'll be trading every single player on this current roster in hopes to try and win a Stanley Cup in NHL 23's franchise mode. So let's get into it. Alright, here we are. Day 1 as GM of the Toronto Maple Leafs. And as you guys are going to be able to see here, we have the updated rosters as of March 2nd, 2023. So the Maple Leafs have Ryan O'Reilly, Noel Acciari, Sam Lafferty, Luke Schenn, but we're missing some people, and you may be wondering where they are. So if we look down in the AHL, we can see that Alex Kerfoot, as well as Mark Giordano and Jake McCabe are also down in the minors, and that's because of this man here in net for the Maple Leafs, Matt Murray, who is currently on the long-term injury reserve with that $4.69 million cap hit. So it's off the books for the Maple Leafs in real life, but we don't have the luxury of being able to manage that. I guess it doesn't really matter because we're going to be trading everyone anyway, but just a little bit of a flaw, I guess, in the roster that the creator can't really do anything about. So just scrolling through the rosters here, and one of the biggest things I saw is that Tage Thompson has been bumped up to a 90 overall, as well as Rasmus Dahlin being moved to a 91 overall. Of course, these two are having extremely good seasons for the Buffalo Sabres and are well deserving of these ratings upgrades. New Jersey Devils, we see Jack Hughes is at a 90 overall. I believe he's normally an 88 or maybe even lower when he starts for this season. But then we have the new acquisition of Timo Meier on the first line there alongside Hughes and Jesper Bratt, who I don't normally think starts as an 88, but that's a nice boost there for him if that's the case. And last but not least, the New York Rangers with Patrick Kane and Vladimir Tarasenko, new acquisitions for them over the past week or so. Oh, I lied. This is the final update there that I wanted to give. Jacob Chikrin, new member of the Ottawa Senators. I love this move for the Senators. This is a very young defensive core that I think is only going to get better. You look at Brandstrom as well in the third pairing there. I think he could be a very solid top 4 defenseman as well for them. So future's bright for the Sens, but let's focus on the Maple Leafs. Looking back at the Maple Leafs roster now, we have a lot of big contracts, which is obviously something that Leafs general manager Kyle Dubas has been criticized before, but we're going to be able to right the ship here. Not that I necessarily think that they were all bad deals. I think Tavares is going to kind of bite them after a little bit. You can see it expires when he's 34. But for the most part, I think Matthews is definitely a $12 million player, and Marner has definitely proved his worth. And this Nylander contract is very much a bargain with the way he's performed this season. One of the biggest things I wanted to just point out here before we get started, though, a new addition to the roster with these custom rosters is Matthew Nyes, the second-round pick for the Maple Leafs. So he's quickly skyrocketed up the depth chart for Maple Leafs rookies. He's definitely going to be a big trade chip for us as we try to win a Stanley Cup this season. All right, so our first deal of the day is going to try and ship over Shea Theodore and Zachary Whitecloud in exchange for Morgan Riley and a first-round pick. Now, this is going to be tough because the salaries just barely line up here between the two of them, and I mean, at the end of the day, I'm probably going to want to flip Whitecloud in another deal just so we can have more cap room, but I think that this should be okay. It looks pretty even on the trade value chart there, and I know Theodore is maybe even a little bit worse than Riley in some of the offensive stats, like the skating there you can see, but I think this is a deal that you see Vegas is interested in. They're definitely not interested in giving up Shea Theodore, But I think for this price, this should be fair. So let's see what they do. Okay. So let's try. We have to be very conservative with our picks here based on how many deals we're going to be getting done. So let's throw in a second and see what they say. All right, so it looks like it's going to go through. We're going to move down Mac Hollowell. So Morgan Riley for a first and a second, or Morgan Riley and a first and a second for Shea Theodore and Zachary Whitecloud. All right, now taking a look at our second deal, we're going to be trying to get rookie David Jiricek from the Columbus Blue Jackets. He was the 6th overall pick in 2022. As you can see, an elite defenseman. He's definitely going to be worth a ton for future picks. As you can see, he's the 3rd most valued player on their team, just ahead of Patrick Laine. So tons of value there. We've offered them Luke Shen, Timothy Liljegren, and a 2nd-round pick. For some reason, these are all players and the pick there that they're interested in. It looks relatively close in value. I'm not here to make the CPU's decisions. If this goes through, I'm going to lose my mind. Okay. Whew. All right. I would feel a little bit bad there if we were just able to pull that through, because there's no way that Columbus Blue Jackets GM Jarmo Kekalainen is going to let that deal slide. So let's throw in another second. Let's see what we can do with that. Okay. The value's just a bit low. So, all right, you know what? We'll try 3 seconds. I'm just reluctant to give up the 1st-round picks just because of where we are in our deals, and we know that we need to leverage them to make our trades better. Okay, so we're going to try a 3rd before we add a 2nd. Boom. Trade accepted. All right, so we got David Jiricek, who's an elite defenseman, for 2 of our bottom pairing defensemen and a couple picks, so can't complain about that. All right, and we are here moving on from Matt Murray, and we're going to trade him to the Nashville Predators. I guess the reasoning for them is that Murray is definitely an upgrade in skill above Kevin Lankinen when healthy, and obviously we don't have those injuries in this simulation. So Lankinen for Matt Murray in a 6th-round pick. They got the cap for it. Looks like it could go through, so let's see what we got. Bang. Love that. Now we have our backup goaltender. All right, and wrapping up the goaltenders, we're going to try and get Ville Husso of the Detroit Red Wings, 86 overall for 3 years left at $4.89 million in exchange for Ilya Samsonov with that $1.8 million cap hit. Got an 86 overall. Love that. So we figured I give him the 3rd-round pick for the term, and we have the better salary, and he's probably going to re-sign there for a good amount. So let's see if this goes through. Love that. We have a starting goaltender now. All right, here we are with another move, and we're going to be looking to acquire Timo Meier and Damon Severson from the New Jersey Devils in a pretty massive deal here, sending off Jake Muzzin, Rodion Amirov, the Maple Leafs 2020 1st-round pick, and David Jiricek, who we acquired in one of our previous deals. Now, this looks pretty even just on face value here, but I know with that $3 million cap hit at an 88 overall, it's going to be tough to just take it off them. So let's see if they like this move. If not, we'll add some picks. Okay, so what you're offering us in return isn't very interesting. It doesn't meet our block needs all that well, and the value just isn't really there. Fair enough. I mean, I like Damon Severson in this acquisition because we can get rid of Muzzin's contract, and he's a little bit safer there. I really would like to get Meier, but I know there are other forwards like him that I can get. I feel like he's the one that's holding us back here. So I might just take him off for now and see what I can do for Muzzin and maybe a 3rd-round pick if I can throw one in there. So Muzzin and a 3rd-round pick for Damon Severson. Let's see if they like it. Boom. All right, we got Damon Severson. All right, now we have a defense for defense trade coming here. We got Jake McCabe and TJ Brody in exchange for Neil Pionk and Logan Stanley. So the idea behind this is We're giving up similar amount of salary, and the play here is for Pionk, obviously. He's a pretty decent offensive defenseman for the Winnipeg Jets, and we have way too many guys in the defensive depth to be holding on to right now. So Logan Stanley might not even play a game for us, but hey, if it's a 2-for-1, I still like it. So let's see what we got. And accepted. Love it. All right, next up we got Matthew Knies and Justin Hall looking to acquire Mackenzie Weegar from the Calgary Flames. He's on the trade block for them. 86 overall, 28-year-old, top 4 defenseman. We're really just trying to build up our blue line here as best as we can, and I'm sure Leafs fans are not going to be excited to see that we're departing with Matthew Knies, but of course, for the sake of this video, we are looking for a championship this season. So Justin Hall's going the other way. We lose a bit on the salary, but I mean, Weegar's super talented. We're looking to also get a second-round pick for Calgary, just to kind of even out the value a little bit. So let's see what they think. Love it. Mackenzie Weegar, welcome to Toronto. Just a quick look at the roster here after the first couple of trades. Obviously, no real big changes here on the forward core we got. But our defense is looking drastically different. We got Shea Theodore, Mackenzie Weegar, Damon Severson, Zach Whitecloud, Logan Stanley, and Neil Pionk. Honestly, I would be fine with that. But we still have so many players to be moving. We got Gustafsson, Timmins, Jiricek, of course. And then down in the minors, we still got Giordano and Mete. So there's tons of players to be moved. I think we're going to start leveraging some of these guys for some picks, just because we don't need to be retaining that many assets after the good job that we've already done. So let's go do that. Okay, so now we have one of the biggest deals yet, the biggest deal yet, as a matter of fact. You're going to expect it at some point with trading every single player on the roster. So we have a potential suitor for John Tavares and William Nylander, and that is the Winnipeg Jets, who we've worked out a little deal here for Mark Scheifele, Kyle Connor, and Pierre-Luc Dubois, while we're adding on our 2024 first-round pick and David Jiricek. I know I said I was just going to go out and look for some more picks, but I couldn't help myself. I knew a big deal was going to happen eventually. I didn't want to keep you guys waiting any longer. So this is obviously going to drastically change what our lineup looks like. I don't even know really how it will look when this deal goes through. And I say when, I'm not even sure if it will. Connor is pretty adjacent to Nylander in most of their stats, except he's got a year younger on him and he has an X factor. So, I mean, it'll probably be a bit of an upgrade for us, but there is a little bit more salary on Connor. I guess if you're trying to rationalize this deal a little bit for the Jets and make it somewhat realistic, which I mean is a stretch by any means, Scheifele and Dubois are two players who have talked about potentially moving on from the franchise in the future. You get a shot to take in Nylander and Tavares, with Tavares probably going to finish out his career with the Jets at this point. And if it doesn't work out, you get Jiricek at 18 years old to jumpstart your rebuild, along with our first-round pick, because I don't know how this team's going to look the year after, but we only got to worry about this year. So let's try and work this deal out and see if it goes through. Trade rejected. Yeah, okay. So this is going to be tough because we know there are a lot of assets that they're probably not willing to depart from. So we might need to make a big addition here just to sweeten it up for them. We could add Ryan O'Reilly, but then I'm just wondering if we're overpaying. I could take out the first and add Ryan O'Reilly. That way it's 3 roster players for 3 roster players, with us giving Jiricek as a little bonus there, because I do think Scheifele is the better player over Tavares at center, and we get a third line center in Dubois. So let's see what we can do. No, nothing. All right, we'll try and add another first. Let's see if they'll take it. Oh my gosh. All right, so biggest deal in Maple Leafs franchise history, gets it done. We overpaid way too much for that. But hey, we had to get a deal done, and we've won a lot of our trades so far, so I'm willing to take a loss, even if it isn't. We don't know yet. All right, now we're trying to get some draft capital here, and we're starting off with the Edmonton Oilers, trying to get their first-round pick from this year in exchange for Topi Niemela and Nick Robertson. Robertson, of course, has struggled in the Leafs system before, but like I mentioned earlier, he is first-round pick worthy, I would say, even though I believe he was drafted in the second rather for the Maple Leafs. Yep, there you go. 79 overall, 21 years old. There's not a lot of players like that available at this price, I think. And Mattias Janmark we're throwing in as well to just kind of replace maybe one of our depth players. I'm thinking like Nola Chari or something like that. He's got the dual position eligibility at left wing and center. So I think he could be a valuable piece for us. Let's see if this goes through. Trade rejected. Okay. The other option I think we could go with here is instead of maybe their first, we could try and put together maybe 2 seconds. I think that could actually prove to be just as valuable for us in the long run. So let's see if they will take that, and they will. All right, welcome Mattias Janmark. All right, and here we are trading with a division rival, a historic rivalry here between the Leafs and Bruins, and thought I could get away with not trading with any divisional rivals, but there's just too many talented players in the Atlantic Division. And so we're targeting here Jake DeBrusk, 84 overall, 25 years old. Scored some pretty big goals for Boston against the Leafs in the past in these playoffs. And we're going to give them Alex Kerfoot, David Kampf, and a second rounder. Now, the reason I threw in a second rounder there, obviously DeBrusk being 84 overall, it's not typical that they would just accept 281s for an 84. We're also getting him at 39% retained, so this can work with the cap constraints that we're currently under. The value looks pretty good here. I'm not sure if they're going to want me to up the pick or maybe add another, but keep in mind this is not one of the picks that we just got in our previous deal there. And it looks like we could get it, so let's try it out. Trade rejected. Okay, so I can maybe throw in, let's try a fourth and then we'll work our way up. That looks like it's completely outweighing them. This should go through. No. Okay. So now we're going to try for the first time. We're going to try a little find trade. I typically don't like to do this just because I find it a lot more fun to try and work out the deals on your own. And you can probably find a lot of special deals like I have in this video so far. So open trade block. What do you want? You want Michael Bunting, Mattias Janmark, and Wayne Simmonds. Okay, so this is one that I can work with here. Kampf, Logan Stanley, and Wayne Simmonds. Obviously, we picked up Logan Stanley in one of our previous deals with Winnipeg. That also brought us in Neil Pionk. Now, I could do this one. Let's check what the other ones are. Damon Severson, no. Definitely not Zach Whitecloud. I feel like this is definitely the best move for us, without a doubt. Obviously, you can get probably a little bit more for Bunting, and we can keep Kerfoot, who has a little bit more value than I think Stanley does. And we can definitely get a defenseman in the future. Wayne Simmonds, of course. Not really sure why they're interested in him, but he does seem like he has that Boston style of play. I don't know if he'll ever crack their lineup, but let's see if this goes through. And beautiful. Love that. All right, Jake DeBrusk, welcome to Toronto. All right, now that we moved on from Logan Stanley, it's time to fill up our 6th defensive spot. And we're thinking of going with Ryan Lindgren of the New York Rangers. 82 overall, 24 years old, top 4 potential, fits on all defensive pairings, which is awesome. And we're going to give up Eric Gustafsson, who's a better overall defenseman, especially on this Rangers team that's going to be looking to push for the playoffs. He's got some good offensive stats for them. And Calle Jarnkrok just has a nice depth play for them, I think. If they want to move on from someone on their 4th line, you can give them that option. And we're also asking for a 3rd-round pick as well, just to kind of even out the value there of giving up 2 for 1. So let's see if they like it. Oh, trade rejected. Okay, maybe we can downgrade the pick, because I would like to get a pick back. Let's see if they'll take a 4th. Trade rejected. Okay, well, we might need to settle for no pick here, because I do like Ryan Lindgren. I do want him on this team, and give him to me. All right, so we're going to have to actually do some transactions here. I'll sort that all out eventually when all these deals go down. But looks like we got the deal done. All right, so the Winnipeg Jets clearly like doing business with us, because we're about to send Alexander Kerfoot and Mark Giordano over for a 2nd and 3rd round pick in the next 2 drafts. I mean, typically We like to get assets back, but we need to clear up some cap space in order to bring Ryan Lindgren back into the lineup. So let's see if they'll take this. Okay, perfect, and automatically calls up Ryan Lindgren. Gotta love it. All right, now we're going to take a crack at it with another team here, the Philadelphia Flyers. We're looking to get Travis Konechny on a pretty manageable contract, $5.5 million for 3 more years, 25 years old. He's 87 overall, so 1 overall higher than our friend here, Pierre-Luc Dubois, that we got in that blockbuster trade with Winnipeg. So we're going to throw Amirov on as well, just because they're interested in him. The value looks pretty similar, so let's see if they're willing to make a move here. Trade accepted. All right, pivoting away a bit from Austin Matthews, we're going to look at Mitch Marner here, and we're trying to trade him to the Buffalo Sabres. Now, much like Austin Matthews, I don't think there's necessarily a Mitch Marner trade that the Maple Leafs will ever come like super out on top of, but this is one that I really like. I like Tage Thompson kind of as that replacement for Austin Matthews, in the sense that he's a 6'6" center, 24 years old, 90 overall, has just a ton of great offensive stats. I also like the acquisition of Alex Tuch as well. He fits because of salary. He could be like a third, maybe even fourth line at this point. With the return that we're going to get for Austin Matthews, our team is already going to be very well rounded at both ends of the ice. So I think we could take a little bit more of a loss here with Mitch Marner. Let's see what they think. Trade accepted. All right, so welcome Tage Thompson to the blue and white. All right, people, we've officially reached new levels of insanity here. I don't even know at this point if this team's going to be good. I know we're giving up a lot. It looks great on paper, and it's going to suck if we had made all these moves and the NHL simulation engine is just still going to hurt us like it does many times in franchise mode. But we're getting Patrick Kane, and we're getting him at that retained salary that New York has him at. $2.5 million. The stats are still insane. The hands, the puck skills, the shooting. Still a phenomenal player at 33 years old. 91 overall. And Mika Zibanejad. We're going to see if we can get him along as well. We're trading Connor Timmins with them just to match the contracts without giving them too much more salary, because it is a big contract for them to take on for Austin Matthews. And we gave them some picks just as some insurance, just because I don't know if they would even be interested in this with their current makeup of their roster, and they're already playoff built. So yeah, let's see if they take it. We're pretty heavily favored in the value, so let's see. Trade accepted. So the New York Rangers fans are going to be cheering in the streets when we announce this deal. I'll take deals like this any day of the week. So we may have got fleeced. Who knows? You know what? It's 1 year for the rest of our lives. Okay, so there are just a couple of final moves we have to make before we have the entire roster with a completely new lineup. So I'm looking at Max Domi here. He's actually someone that's been looked at as a trade target for the Maple Leafs in the past, although he just got moved to the Dallas Stars. So we're going to send Michael Bunting over there. I think Domi has a lot of offensive upside. He can play in the top 6. He played with Patrick Kane in Chicago. And I think he'd be a pretty good third line guy for us. Maybe I'll just throw in Sam Lafferty, send him back to Chicago, see if they'll take that. And beautiful. And for our final trade before we begin simulation, we're going to take out some of the newest acquisitions for the Maple Leafs in Noel Acciari and Zach Aston-Reese, who were both acquired this season, as well as a first-round pick and a second-round pick in exchange for Joel Pavelski and Evgeny Dadonov. Now, Dadonov, he's only rated a 79, and he's got a $2.5 million cap hit, so it's going to be tough to move on with him in the future, but we don't got to worry about that. He did just have 20 goals with Vegas, so I feel like he will have a little bit of a simulation boost, and I know that Pavelski always simulates super well in NHL, so he fits on our second line. I doubt that he's going to be able to play there, He could play on the first line power play potentially. We'll see how that all looks. But yeah, we're going to be a little generous here. I think we could get away with this just by adding a first, but I threw it in the second just to sweeten the deal a bit. All right, final trade. Let's see if it goes through. And it does. All right, let's take a look at the lines. Okay, so here we are at the brand new Toronto Maple Leafs lineup. We got Kyle Connor, Tage Thompson, Patrick Kane, Joe Pavelski, Mika Zibanejad, Travis Konechny, Jake DeBrusk, Mark Scheifele, Alex Tuch, Evgeny Dadonov, Max Domi, and Matthias Janmark. I mean, this is insane that you're able to do this in NHL 22 or 23 rather. I mean, I thought this team was going to be good based on the star power that we already had, but blowing up the team and making it arguably, well, not arguably, I would say better in almost every facet. I mean, you look at the defensive core here: Shea Theodore, Neil Pionk, Damon Severson, Mackenzie Weegar, Ryan Lindgren, Zach Whitecloud, and then back at goaltending we got Ville Husso and Kevin Lankinen. The power play as well looks very, very good. We got Joe Pavelski there, as we predicted on the power play. Plus fives on both units. I mean, the firepower here is endless. Let's check out the penalty kill. +2. Can't complain about that. I mean, it means absolutely nothing until we start simulating, so I guess let's go right into the season. I almost forgot, so just before we start the simulation, I want to take a look at the rules here just so you guys are aware. We turned injuries off. We did a lot of moves, and I didn't exactly move every single Maple Leaf off of the roster, but there's not a single one from their current NHL team on this lineup, and I wouldn't want that to be jeopardized by injury, so I turned them off. Also, the difficulties on All-Star. I'm not going to be playing, of course. What else is there to look at? CPU trades on, so I have those on because I want other teams to be making trades and trying to compete with us. I have the sim engine scoring on high, and sim engine shot frequency on high, just because I feel like that gives the most realistic score to most NHL games nowadays. And there's the trade difficulty. It was on hard. So let's get into the simulation. Alright, so here we are just before the trade deadline, March 1st, 2023, and the Toronto Maple Leafs are killing it. They are 10 points ahead of the Boston Bruins for first place in the Atlantic Division, and they are second in the entire NHL, believe it or not, behind the New York Rangers, who we actually sent Austin Matthews to. So you can see he's still on a winning team, but Patrick Kane, what an unbelievable season he's having. 89 points in 63 games, and let me just show you guys something. He is actually ahead of Connor McDavid by 1 point for most points in the NHL right now, and he's leading the league in assists as well. 1 point ahead of Braden Point. Just an unbelievable start for the guys. And Ville Husso, no surprise, 34-12 with a .909 save percentage, although Igor Shesterkin with that save percentage will probably still be taking the Norris home. Yeah, no words, honestly. I feel like this is going extremely well, a lot better than anticipated. Let's see if we can finish out the regular season strong. Okay, and here we are at the end of the regular season, and what a season it was. The Toronto Maple Leafs finished 57-19-6 and get 120 points in the regular season, which is phenomenal. It was 6 points ahead of the New York Rangers and secure the President's Trophy. Now, this record here would actually put us in 9th all-time for the best NHL record ever, behind the 1970-71 Boston Bruins. Pretty insane team that we've built here. As you can see, Patrick Kane with 112 points, 40 goals for the first time since 2018-19 for him. And I believe it's the highest point total ever, right? Yeah. So that is insane. Of course, he's playing on quite the stacked line, getting first-line power play time. But what's pretty crazy here is Austin Matthews finished just 1 point ahead of Patrick Kane, 53 goals, 60 assists, just a phenomenal season from Matthews overall. He's clearly on the revenge tour after being traded from the Leafs, And I'm sure him and Panarin, it's definitely a recipe for success. Those two together are going to be really tough to beat in the playoffs. Looking at the NHL awards. Okay, so it looks like the awards aren't going to be ready for us until the end of the season, so that's okay. We're going to be coming up against the Florida Panthers in the first round. Now, I don't believe we made any moves with Florida. There were so many trades, it's hard to really keep track. So let's take a look at their lineup really quickly. Matthew Tkachuk, Barkov, Duclair, Hornquist, Reinhart, Verhaeghe, Bennett, Lundell, White, Tierney, Luostarinen, and Cousins. Forsling, Ekblad, Montour with a nice little boost there. Mahura, Mark Stahl, and Radko Gudas. As for their goaltending, Sergei Bobrovsky and Spencer Knight. They definitely have one of the best 1-2 punches in the NHL for goaltending in this simulation for sure. But they don't have Patrick Kane, who is on a mission here. And let's see how we can do in this first round. And we go up 3-0 very quickly. Can we sweep the first round? No, we cannot. All right, let's just make sure no shenanigans happen here. Okay. All right, let's get it done here, gentlemen. Let's make sure there's no games. Okay. This would be so NHL if we were to lose this in the final game of the first round for the Toronto Maple Leafs. Okay, so it's after 2 periods. There's no goals. We're gonna simulate here and see what happens. We're getting outshot pretty badly, but Shea Theodore gets us on the board. Okay, and Sam Bennett ties it just 2.5 minutes later. It looks like Zibanejad fires back. All right, Leafs with the power play here. 7 minutes to go, trying to hold on to this 1-goal lead, but Luostarinen ties it with 5 minutes left to go. And Alexander Barkov. Oh my gosh. That's it. Wow. Now, I mean, this just goes to show, ladies and gentlemen, this is a problem. EA Sports. This is definitely a problem. We had the best team in the NHL. One of the best teams all time statistically. And we still lose in the first round, or maybe it's just the Maple Leafs curse. That's heartbreaking. Let's check and see what would happen here. Well, we see Mark Scheifele led in points for the playoffs. So, okay, we had multiple players with lots of assists, but who was scoring? Yeah, no one really took over in scoring. I guess that's definitely not ideal with the team as stacked as we are. And Husso played really well with a .930 save percentage. Let's check, I guess, Florida's team. How did they do? So yeah, Barkov, Tkachuk, Duclair. How was Bobrovsky? He wasn't even better than him. That's really heartbreaking. I don't know what to really do from here. I'm going to sim to the draft, and then we'll check out the awards before we wrap things up. The Colorado Avalanche are the Stanley Cup champions, and they swept the New Jersey Devils. So New York went to the second round and lost to New Jersey. Kind of a really weird simulation. Colorado, I guess, still dominant regardless of how stacked we are. This is a really weird... I'm really shocked. I'm lost for words, honestly. When we look at the awards, let's see what happened. Austin Matthews with the Art Ross Trophy, of course, leading in points. Mikko Rantanen with the MVP. That is bold. I want to know how many... I didn't even see his numbers, to be honest. Cale Makar with the Norris. That's no surprise. Lady Bing for Patrick Kane. Gotta love that. At least take home some hardware. Conn Smythe, Mikko Rantanen. So it looks like he just had a really solid playoff run as well. Shesterkin takes the Vezina Trophy as predicted. Still a great season from Ville Husso, but just could not beat the power of Igor Shesterkin, I guess. Yeah, this is really strange. I would like to do more videos like this because obviously we built one of the best teams ever. I don't think we'll be able to re-sign anyone, or not nearly as many stars as we had. So this was an all or nothing, and they just couldn't get it done. super unfortunate, but hopefully you guys all enjoyed, and I will see you guys next time. So just before we wrap up here, just to recap, 17 trades, 54 players, and 15 draft picks later. These were the acquisitions and departures from our Toronto Maple Leafs roster. Like I said, it's quite shocking, the result that we had, but I mean, for the Maple Leafs, is it really that shocking? If that's the case, maybe we'll try it with another team. If you guys have any suggestions for any future videos or any teams that you would like me to do this for in the future, leave a comment, leave a like if you enjoyed. Thank you guys so much for watching, and see you next time.